service sector, there is equally the private and corporate life that there is in the country, where the things that you just mentioned, where you have to show up at work, and there is compensation at the end of it all, you must want to come here. There is check-in and check-out facilities that a cabinet secretary will have to go to stations to encourage people to come to work. That goes to show that perhaps then value for money is not being received from the end of Mwananchi, because if someone doesn't come to work, what do? You get rid of them. You get people who want to work, and that would be a conversation in the country today, that we know there are problems. Individuals don't show up, that we have to show up to encourage them to come to work. One would say we're shooting ourselves in the foot, because we are wasting time on things that we have solutions for. It is not rocket science. And even then, when we talk about public participating in all these issues, I will give you an example. When a certain lady set up a portal where Kenyans could have discussions, the members of parliament, and give their views on public participation, it is still the very same government that went and shot down that idea. She was arrested. So in all this, then one asks the question, is there political goodwill in ensuring that even when we have budgets and implementations of the same, that Kenyans get value out of that?
And well, that issue about political goodwill, my view, and it is reflected by what you just said. The minister is going to check whether office, staff are in office. So I don't think we can question the issue of political goodwill to get services delivered. Okay? I don't think we can, because that's why the minister left Nairobi and went to a remote, relatively distant county from Nairobi, okay, to check whether people are working.
Were those people let go, or are they still in the system?
Now, let go is a very simple thing in private sector. But the public sector, people have quite some insulation because also of course, again, the issue of trust, that, if you left it to politicians, people might be sacked who should not be sacked. And therefore, there is insulation. There is a process by which you would have to get a public servant off the payroll and so forth. But also, by the time you are getting him off the payroll, you had better be sure that the next Kenyan you get is of a better culture and better discipline than the one who you are sacking. So perhaps it is better to see how best you can get the ones who are there now to work well.
CPA, are we giving excuses for bad culture to continue in public sector systems? Because that right there is an example of why job is not done. Are we giving excuses with political undertones for things that honestly shouldn't just happen, especially in public sector?
No, we are not giving excuses. The reason why we have a performance and productivity, national performance and productivity conference this week is because we cannot afford those excuses. That for Kenya to achieve a socio-economic transformation at an acceptable rate, we have to change the way we are doing things. We have to make sure that we are more productive. We have to make sure that that budget actually delivers to Kenya on a socio-economic transformation trajectory. Therefore, there are no excuses. Therefore, in the conference, we are going to talk about the culture of public servants and what do we need to do to address it. In the conference, we are going to talk about how do we set targets, how do we ensure that we hold public officers accountable for delivery against the resources that have been provided for them. And those deliverables, not in terms of the fact that they have spent money and they have gone to this and that activity, but actually because we can see there are real improvements in the services which are provided to Kenyans. And therefore, setting targets for them, getting sure that those targets are realistic, that they are not just, written on paper, but they are real, and we hold them accountable for those resources. So essentially, the sense of the conference we are going to is to actually to address the concerns which we are putting